Have you seen the Ethereum inflows in the last couple of days? $1 billion in inflows in Ethereum yesterday across the ETFs. So let's talk gold. We just saw a little spell here, which now means the 100-day moving average support is sneaking up on it. It still hasn't made a higher high, and my bearish bias is back.
All I can say is I'm not touching it until it breaks 3,500 in the spot.
Michael Jordan is competing in the White Marlin Open, but this guy Dan Guff beats Michael Jordan by 1 pound, takes home $3.9 million, and Michael Jordan gets $400K.
This is a Tony Greer shit or get off the pot moment for the dollar. It's got to rally hard in the next couple of days. The courts are deciding the constitutionality of Trump's tariff. Then the dollar is going to rip.
What is happening, good people? We are here to record Macro Dirt Podcast number 59. Me and my man Jared Dillian. What is up, brother?
What is up?
Sitting there like Joe Pepitone with the long hair and the Yankee jersey. What number are you sporting?
46, Andy Pettit.
Very cool. Very cool. That's a cool jersey.
You know, they just had the Old Timers Day game over the weekend.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
I guess Mariano hurt his Achilles in the Old Timers game.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Best athlete on the field, I'm sure, too, right?
Johnny Damon showed up fat, like 80 pounds overweight with hair down to his back.
He's crushing beers in the off-season, right? That's great, man. I kind of like Johnny Damon, though. I have no complaints about him. You?
I mean, it was tough in 2004. It was like him and Kevin Millar and the idiots,
destroying our team, right?
Yeah.
Single-handedly with swag.
Yeah.
That was a tough moment. So here's a cool story, JD. I want to go right into this, right? This is why I love Joe Pompliano, the sports journalist, right? He posted yesterday a tweet that Michael Jordan is competing in the White Marlin Open with his 82-foot Bayless fishing boat, the Catch 23, with a huge fisherman, Trey Cricket McMillan, right? This is the world's largest billfish tournament out of frickin' Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah.
And Michael Jordan has got a fucking horse in the race.
Yeah.
Right? Unbelievable. They caught a 71-pound white marlin, right? It put him in second place to a 72-pounder caught by Dan Guff, right? There's 211 boats in the water across 7 days for this tournament. They caught a 188-pound tuna. Somebody caught a 929-pound blue marlin. But this guy, Dan Guff, winds up winning the white marlin category, beats Michael Jordan by 1 pound, takes home $3.9 million, and Michael Jordan gets $400K.
Wow.
You know he's got to be steaming about that 1 pound loss, right? So it's pretty cool.
I'm pretty familiar with that tournament because my wife is from Pennsylvania, and like her family used to go down to Ocean City, Maryland, like every summer. And one summer I spent with her while that tournament was going on. So Oh, wow. So you've kind of been there for it. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, the town must get packed for that. That's got to be something special.
Yeah.
Right? Really cool. What I loved about it, JD, this is the power of the network. This is kind of another story / lesson here. In my Cornell chat, my Cornell fraternity text chat, I love, we all kind of worship Michael in different ways, and I throw that thing out there. We got guys from all over the country, all type A ballers. And one of my buddy goes, hold on, my buddy runs this tournament, right? Text his buddy up. His buddy comes back in 5 minutes with a picture that he just took of Michael Jordan sitting on his boat smoking a cigar. Right. So I just thought that was awesome that I just dropped that in my chat. My buddy's got the guy that started the freaking tournament in Ocean City, Maryland on a radio wire away from him. The guy's like, yeah, man, check it out. Sends a picture of Michael, 2-minute long video of Michael going through the marina, waving at people. It was freaking cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. So let's get into markets, JD, because I know it's the summer doldrums, but there is far from nothing going on, right? Let's start with that. Let's do it in a little tribute to the speed round of the Daily Dirt Nap, which is the last page section that I've always loved reading. We're going to do the market. What's that?
On Fridays.
Yeah, on Fridays. That's right.
Yeah.
It's a little. I loved it so much that I stole the model and put it in my newsletter every day and called it Study Break.
Yep.
but it works. It works for everybody. So speed round, let's go through it like that. The economy, CPI is out. The cliff notes are there's no inflation. Month over month for July was 0.2. Ex food and energy 0.3. Year over year CPI came in at 2.7% versus a 2.8% estimate, so a little bit lighter. Ex food and energy came in a tick hotter at 3.1 versus 3%. What are you thinking?
It's mixed. I mean, it's tough to make a case for a bunch of rate cuts with that data, because inflation is still pretty far above 2%. Mm-hmm. I'm like this number is not working out well for me, just from a trading perspective, but it's pretty mixed. It's not screaming hot inflation. Let's put it that way.
Right. Do you think there's still room for a cut?
Yeah, they're probably going to cut in September. I think they are. Yeah, okay. 25 basis points.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're going to have to get started. I mean, Trump's coming at Powell again today, and if there's one thing that is annoying the crap out of me, it's how he's handling this situation.
Do you want to talk about this? Who Trump nominated for the BLS head?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, let me pull it up. I already forgot the guy's names. Guy's got a hard name to remember. Yeah. E.J. Antoni from the Heritage Foundation. So I've seen some tweets about this. I guess this guy Antoni has been a critic of the BLS for a long time. He's at a think tank. He's at Heritage.
Okay.
And a lot of people are upset because this is really the first time they put a politician, not necessarily a politician, but like somebody partisan in charge of the BLS, whereas before they would just get like some wonky data nerd,
some lifetime hack. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see the data in a couple of months if we're going to have payrolls printing like 500,000 and like inflation coming in negative and like it's going to be weird.
It's going to be quite a scenario to trade in, isn't it? Well, I tell you, let's keep going, though. Let's talk about the rates market while we're on the topic. And I kind of want to snicker a little bit and feel really smug because what are they doing today? Mean reverting. That's my trade, man, and I love it. What do you think? Anything on rates?
Yeah, I think rates are headed lower, especially the front end. They're going to cut in September. Michelle Bowman said she wanted 3 cuts this year, which would be September, November, December. That might happen. We might. It's possible. We might get 75 basis points of cuts this year. And if the stock market starts to crack, and we're down a smooth 5 to 7%, like those rate cuts are going to be accelerated.
Yeah, that's something that you have to look out for because there are times when the market takes rate cuts as, oh baby, this is it for value stock, growth stocks. Let's take them on, And then there are times when the market gets scared and says, oh shit, there's an actual way weaker economy coming. Maybe that affects earnings, and then you potentially have a stock slide. So we haven't decided yet what's going on, but I kind of still love the fact that we had that big spike lower in rates, and now we come out and get CPI that's kind of in line, and rates are just kind of mean reverting back towards the range here. It's really they're in a crucial spot. The dollar index. That's what I wanted to talk about next. The dollar is in a crucial spot, but there's something for everyone in the dollar. There's something for bulls and bears. What are you seeing?
Man, I look at the chart, and so the dollar was up yesterday. It's down today about an equal amount. Dude, this is a Tony Greer shit or get off the pot moment for the dollar.
Yeah, it is.
What I mean? Like it really is.
100%.
It's got to rally hard in the next couple of days, or else this trade is doomed.
I do agree with that because we're pressed up against huge resistance. So the bears have got the fact that it's failing resistance at the 100 DMA, at the 100-day moving average, and the old lows so far around 100. That is crucial, and there's a little something for the bulls too. We've got 3 higher lows on the tape, and we've got rates chooching up a little bit. So I'm not saying that that's going to get the dollar to spike or anything, but that's what the bulls have going for them. And like you said, as the trader in me will say, okay, if we break that string of higher lows and start turning down, I will be expecting a lower dollar environment for sure.
See, here's the one thing I've been sort of half-assed paying attention to is the courts are deciding the constitutionality of Trump's tariffs. Like basically what they're trying to decide is does the executive branch have tariff making authority, or does this belong in Congress, right? And that decision is supposed to come out pretty soon, right? So if the courts decide, look, Trump can't decide tariffs unilaterally, then the dollar is going to rip. The dollar is absolutely going to rip.
That makes sense. That'll be the counter move to everything that's been going on, right? It'll just be like, oh, we're going to have to reverse some of this. There's going to be, all kinds of hell to pay politically. God knows what could happen. Okay, on to our next topic. Let's talk gold. We just saw a little spell here. Maybe there's going to be a gold tariff. Gold goes to the top of the range. It looks like there's going to be no tariff. Gold trades to the middle of the range, which now means the 100-day moving average support is sneaking up on it. It still hasn't made a higher high, and my bearish bias is back. What about you?
I don't know, man. All I can say is I'm not touching it until it breaks 3,500 in spot, right? Yeah. And I do want to reiterate that, because a lot of people get spot and futures mixed up, right? So if you look on CNBC.com, what they're probably showing you is the futures price, Like you have to look at the spot price. The high end spot is 3,500. Yep. If it breaks that, it's going to run like an antelope. That's all I care about.
Yep, that I would agree with, because that is the top of the range. Anything shy of that to me is just another failure. So, and also something that leads it to be, you've seen long forming tops. In fact, you're very good at observing them. And I'm not saying this is one. I'm still, big picture bullish on gold. But it just seems like sentiment and positioning is way overweight. We'll see what happens. I feel like it should be higher already, and it's not. So we'll see what happens. Bitcoin, on the other hand, holy Eleanor Rigby, have you seen the Ethereum inflows in the last couple of days?
Yeah.
$1 billion in inflows in Ethereum yesterday across the ETFs. Most of it going into obviously BlackRock's ETF, ETHA. They got $640 million in inflows yesterday. The total was over $1 billion the first time. We've had this discussion. I'm staying focused on Bitcoin. I still love what the price action is doing. And what's cool about Bitcoin is that it seems like some of the volatility has come out with this breakout. It seems a little bit calmer. It seems like it's slowly bouncing off the 50-day. It's making higher lows. It's doing all the things bull market players want to see it do, and it's doing them very slowly, which makes me more comfortable. Where are you on the coin?
I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, I think, like I've said before, I think the dynamics of Bitcoin have changed to where it's a little bit more like gold. So I think if you get a breakout in gold, you get a breakout in Bitcoin at the same time.
That would make sense.
So I'm not. I think this is another example of not front running the chart. No,
that's fair. It's fair to sit back and let things happen and react, rather than sitting here predicting.
Which is, it's funny because I actually had a conversation about this with a subscriber recently.
Tell me about it.
It was this woman, and she's like, well, don't you want to buy lower prices? Why would you want to buy higher prices? Like, why do you want to wait for it to break out to buy it? Why don't you buy it now? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. When it breaks out, you get confirmation of the move. Like, the goal isn't to buy low and sell high. The goal is to buy high and sell higher,
Beautifully put, JD. I had some people coming at me. One of my ways of getting into positions is buying strength back above the moving averages. And I had a new subscriber come back to me and say, "Wait, TG, like, why am I waiting to buy this Cannabis, for example? Which just had a huge breakout, and we're going to talk about it." And I was like, because technically speaking, it's still in a bear trend, and one daily closing bar changes everything.
Yeah. And also, if that's a 5% bar, great. You miss 5% of the move. 200% is still coming. Right. You know what I mean? Like, totally. You're not going to be sad that you missed the first 5% of the move.
Couldn't agree more. You have to teach people this, because people will go in and say, you know what? I'm going to buy some now because it's cheaper. And then they'll come back to you when it didn't break out and you didn't buy it. And they'll say, hey, what do you think of this thing now? And I'll be like, I don't think anything of it. It never turned. It never broke out. I never bought it. So I forgot about it. Are you long? Sorry to hear that. No, how else do you do that? I never thought this was breaking out. If you wanted to buy it cheaper, that's on you, man. But there are things that you have to pay attention to those things. Like one closing bar you can ignite 20 CTAs all having to short cover all at the same time.
Yeah.
They have one trigger. It closes above the 100-day. The bell rings, they salivate, and they have to get out of their short position. There's no other conversation to have, you know? So let's talk about that for a second. Cannabis, a smooth double in the last couple of weeks. The MSOS ETF has gone and broken out beautifully.
Where's it trading? What's it trading at?
Traded up to a high of $5 today on a new high for the move on the opening and settled back to unchanged and is holding in beautifully around $4.75. This just conspicuously formed a double bottom at $2, which put it on my radar, right? I put it on my radar screen on the navigator. This is the power of the network also, man. It's getting above the 50 and 100 day. And so I put a starter position on, nothing to brag about, a blackjack bet size position, right? But I want to watch it in my trading vehicle. So I put it on and we get this big close on the 10th of July, trades up to 3.25, and somebody very influential in the markets that writes about cannabis stocks confidently and all the time texts me and goes, man, this feels different, doesn't it?
Was that Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you hear things like that, you sit up in your chair, right? And then you let the price action rule. It goes up a little bit more. You want to buy a little bit more, manage the risk. Goes up a little more, buy a little more, manage the risk. And then when you get the breakout, that's when you want to be at your full position. And this just happened to be something that worked out. And I gave guys that were oversized in the position guidance to sell the gap higher opening this morning, downsize a little bit and see what happens. So that was a beautiful trade. It's coming. It's all happening because Trump just said he's looking at reclassifying the drug. He'll make that determination in a couple of weeks, which he always says. But I think it's going to be huge to get pot off of Schedule 1. I mean, anybody that knows anything about drugs knows that pot does not belong on the same scheduling as heroin, LSD, and ecstasy. Period. Yeah. Full stop. So when you think about the idea that these stocks have gone down for 4 years, consolidated for 1 year, and now the door just got kicked open on them being a real sector again. Like, I'm not going to say go and pile into this thing here, but I'm going to say that watch it for this may be the turn in pot stocks, because I do believe that it's going to be a viable sort of healthcare sector one day.
So I have a little history with this. I actually did pretty well in CGC, Canopy Growth.
Yeah.
Back in 2020.
Yep.
I caught the uptrend. I did really well.
Yep.
And then in 2021 or 22, I tried picking a bottom in the MSOS. I bought it at 14. It was trading at 7 in a week.
Ooh.
It was down 50% in a week. And like, it was funny because, you know, I said to my subscribers, I was like, look, like, I apologize. This is the worst trade in the history of the Daily Dirt Nap. I've never had anything go down 50% in a week. That was tough.
You did the right thing, though.
Yep.
The mea culpa is always the right thing. You know, you can't ever, there's nothing slimier than somebody hiding from a bad call.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you got to put your face in the camera and say, I blew it this time. Does Michael Jordan miss jump shots? Rarely, but it happens, okay? Let's look also around the market and keep a good pace up here. We've got gold miners trading an all-time high. They're up 70% on the year. Uranium miners will not stop, up 50% on the year. Hold on.
All right.
Hold on. Industrial miners up 42% on the year. Aerospace and defense up 36% on the year. Social media up 34% on the year. And then you've got all the store of value trades. Ethereum, silver, Bitcoin, gold, all clustered up 27 to 32%. If it feels like there's regime change going on in the markets, trust your instincts. Go ahead, JD.
Gold miners, you know what's going on with GDX?
What?
GDX printed 58 last week, okay?
Yeah.
It's Newmont. Newmont is finally starting to rip. Newmont's like, I think 11% of the index. It's finally starting to move, and that's what's bringing GDX higher. You know,
I couldn't agree more. Everybody, you know, while GDX was not like an in vogue trade, I used to make fun of all the gold bulls and say, do you know why that trade sucks? Because the biggest trade in the portfolio is Newmont, and that's trading the same price as it was when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you that you guys are not making money being long this sector. And then everything changed. We got in during strength on the Navigator. We're riding it and managing the risk. So there's a good plug. As we speak, we've got the NASDAQ taking off, the stock market taking off, 64.50 bid. We're right back to the top of the range on sleepy CPI data. And I'm starting to think that one of the headlines that came out last week is what's providing a lot of tailwinds, and that is about the tariff revenue. So let's talk about that for 1 minute. Right? We printed a number in July. We collected like $30 billion in tariff revenue. We're on a pace to collect about $300 billion in tariff revenue over the course of the year, which is roughly equal, if not just a bit shy, of the $350 billion a year that we collect in corporate tax income, just to give you some scale. So I think that this, plus all of the reinvestment that we've seen that Trump is bragging about, I think this is the stuff, and the AI and power generation movement, this is the stuff to me that helps me believe in a secular bull market. It really does. This is the stuff that's going to change the face of how we look at the U.S. economy. It really is. You have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, Josh Hawley wants to take the tariff revenue and hand them out as rebate checks.
Inflationary, bullish stocks. How else do you want to look at that?
Inflationary and bullish stocks, but bad long. I mean, good bullish for gold, right?
Yeah.
Like you're starting to take a chunk out of the deficit, and you immediately just hand it out as stimulus checks.
Right. It's insane. It's insane, but if it's not insane, and the reason that I get excited about that is because I'm in the store of value trades. I'm long gold, I'm long gold miners, and I'm long Bitcoin because I say to my readers, it's like you see all the stuff that's going on. Some of the stuff is good for the market. A lot of it is really terrible for the dollar. A lot of it is really terrible for our debt profile. And that's why we have the store of value trades on, because they're working. So that's kind of how I'm postured. Is there anything that we're missing on the markets before we go to our little GOAT update?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's go into the GOAT update and keep it moving fast, JD. We're going to keep it in the speed round spirit. I'm going to shout out a GOAT of a certain vertical. You're going to tell me who your GOAT is and just give me a sentence or two on why you think so, okay? Let's start with, who's your trading GOAT?
My trading GOAT is a guy named Wally Maloney, who I worked with at Lehman.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Druckenmiller, but everybody's going to say Druckenmiller.
Sure. Let's hear the inside story. I like this.
Yeah. So this guy is a math whiz, like an absolute math whiz. And when I was making markets on the ETF desk, he created a program called an impact pricer, which told you where your bid and offer should be based on liquidity and volatility. Wow. So we had this up on our screens, and it told us exactly where to make markets, and we did great with it.
It's like having a genie in a bottle, right?
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is very cool. I'm going to say that I have a kind of a dual trading GOAT. My overall trading GOAT is Steve Cohen, because anyone that gets $2 billion peeled off of them by the Obama administration and then comes back and returns 25% on 10 bill dog the next year has my respect. You know what I mean? He made the $2 billion back. The guy bought the Mets. He's now working on the Flushing Sky Park project. He's just a behemoth in like every scenario, and I have a lot of respect for him. In real life, the trading GOAT is my former boss at Goldman Sachs, Chris Carrera. I think he's one of the best gold traders in the world. The guy made money every day. He never took anything more seriously than our P&L. And that reflected in how our desk performed and certainly his career at the firm. But he is still a dear friend of mine, and I consider literally maybe the GOAT of all time that I know personally. Who is your fictional character GOAT, JD?
Fictional character GOAT?
Yeah. We're going to jump around here. I'm going to keep your brain, the synapses firing.
Well, I could sit and think about it for 2 minutes and come up with a better one, but I'm going to say Will Smith in I Am Legend.
Wow. Very cool. Why?
Because the guy was just resourceful, in a way that I am not. He was a problem solver. He was resourceful. And he also, carried on in an environment where everybody in Manhattan is dead. He doesn't know if he might be the last person alive in the world. And he had his dog, and he just carried on, you know. I Am Legend is a great, great movie. I think the special effects are a little dated now, but it's a good movie.
No, that was a great movie. I remember going into watching it, not being excited or kind of just let me get through this kind of thing. And I was glued from start to finish. I was really blown away by that movie. That's a cool fictional character. Mine is still, and maybe will always forever be, Hawkeye Pierce from MASH. Nobody made me and my mother smile and laugh more than that guy. And to this day, my favorite thing to do while I'm cooking is put on MASH reruns, and just the voice and the Hawkeye Pierce in the face of all of that death and destruction and brutality kept it light. And I can watch every one of those shows and he will make me laugh in some capacity. That's really important to me. Who is your journalist GOAT, JD? Do you have one?
No, they can all go to the bottom of the ocean.
Really? I disagree. I've got one. My journalist GOAT is Dominic Dunn.
Who's Dominic Dunn?
So Dominic Dunn used to write for Vanity Fair, and I used to rip that magazine out of my mailbox to read the Dominic Dunn column. And he's a published author. He's written about 6 or 7 books, but he became famous. His daughter was the girl in Poltergeist, right? The young gal in Poltergeist. When she grew up, her ex-boyfriend murdered her. And Dominic Dunn is a very high-profile Hollywood socialite and writer and author, and so always wrote in Vanity Fair about contentious cases like that. He would always write about his daughter's case, but he would always write about the O.J. Simpson trial, the Menendez brothers. You remember those stories? And he used to cover those real time, and I used to be like, "Oh my God, this guy is unbelievable." So anyway. That's my journalist GOAT.
I would say, I've really come around to Matt Taibbi. I didn't like him in the financial crisis when he was ripping on Goldman Sachs, calling him the vampire squid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's kind of come around to my way of thinking in the last couple of years. He's actually done some really good work on private equity. He's gone deep into private equity. If you read his stuff, he really understands it. So.
Yeah, he's got a lot of humility too.
And do you remember when he was testifying before Congress and IRS agents showed up at his house while he was testifying before Congress?
Yeah, man. He's lived through it all, right? That's pretty badass stuff. Yeah, he is an absolute legend of the industry, and that's like I said, I like him because he's incredibly humble. He never has a tude to me. He sometimes he'll joke around, but he's self-deprecating and really humble for a guy with his kind of talent. I really appreciate that. Who is the athlete GOAT, JD?
Don Mattingly.
You are so pig-headed. It's unbelievable.
Don Mattingly belongs in the Hall. He does.
You give you that.
So here's my thing on who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You should be dominant at your position for a period of 10 years.
Yeah.
Dominant.
Yeah.
He fits that criteria. He has the same statistics as Kirby Puckett. The exact same stats. And Kirby Puckett is in the Hall. Yeah. Now Kirby Puckett won a world championship.
Right.
But
well, that's the thing, the Mattingly thing that you had to give him so much credit for was being that good on a team that never got anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really, really, it's just a struggle. I mean, it was a joy to have him, and it was disappointment at the end of every year for him. You're like, this guy deserves to fucking win one, man. In light of this morning's story, I got to highlight again that my athlete GOAT is Michael Jordan. And that's because, though, I've come full circle on Michael, right? North Carolina, early on the Bulls, loved the guy, worshiped the guy in the sneakers just like everybody else. By the time they were calling every drive of his a foul in the Garden against the Knicks in the playoffs, I literally hated his guts. I wanted him to disappear off the face of the earth. And after watching Last Dance, I would say about 8 to 10 times in its entirety, I think Michael Jordan is qualified to be a Supreme Court justice in the United States. And if you disagree with me, watch it again. And I think that you'll understand where I'm coming from. Who is your spiritual GOAT, JD? Do you have one?
I do, but I can't say.
Okay. I can live with that. Can you say why you can't say?
No, I can't even say why I can't say.
You can't talk about it at all.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna pick mine. Mine's kind of the obvious one. It's probably the most well-known Bible quote ever. John 6:68. Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. So yes, Jesus is still my spiritual goat. I still go to church looking for inspiration from him, and through the Bible, looking for inspiration from him. And I always get it, which is cool. Who's the podcast goat, JD? We're going to end on this one.
You mean aside from us?
Yeah, aside from us. I was going to say, whoever it is, it's going to be us next.
It's my buddy Matt Ziegler.
Yeah?
Who writes over at Epsilon Theory. He's interviewed me a couple of times. You know, it's incredible. He has an amazing podcast, and relative to how amazing it is, nobody knows about it.
I never even heard this guy's name, and I'm going to go listen to one like after we hang up. You said you're going to text me over. Who it is? Tell me again.
Matt Ziegler.
Matt Ziegler. Okay. Let's give him some color and check him out.
Yep.
That's for sure. The reason that I go to the obvious podcast goat in Joe Rogan is because they are trying so hard to ignore him. You remember we talked about Trump last week and how they just turned the guy into a god because they talk about him nonstop?
Yep.
They came out, I think it was like Time or some relevant mainstream media shit poster came out and said, here are the top 100 podcasts in the country. Joe Rogan, not on the list.
Oh, I saw that. That's ridiculous.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like they're trying so hard to ignore him. You go to his podcast and it's listed as comedy. You know what I mean? The guy comes out, says, I didn't get vaccinated, and they have to go put him up there. Like they paint his face yellow. They tell him he's taking horse dewormer, and he's back getting millions of views. He's like, fuck you guys. He's like, I'm jacked. I'm in shape, but I do podcasts, and nobody can stop me. So he's awesome. So to end this podcast, thank you for all the recent Macro Dirt dual subscribers. You guys are awesome. I got a wad of people that took me on the $99 trial, and I thank you all for even giving me the try. We've got a large majority of those are still alive. Hopefully we'll sign up for a full sub if they like what I'm doing. And JD and I are going to go towards Macro Dirt number 60 next week, hopefully with as much momentum as we close with today. Sound good?
Yep.
We'll see you next week on Macro Dirt podcast number 60. Adios, everybody.